This is a response to Nick Allison from the U.S. Army, posted originally December 16th, 2011. Well, first off, Nick Allison from the U.S. Army, we have to keep in mind these little facts.
Why are y'all walking like there's a war going on? Nobody has guns! Why are y'all treating people like this? This is America! Why are y'all treating people like this? Why are y'all gearing up like this is war? This is not war!
Let's go, folks.
This is not war! Why are y'all acting like this? Nobody has guns! It takes a tough guy to act like this!
Let's go, folks.
Nobody's trying to hurt you guys! There are no bullets flying out here!
Folks, we can
There are no bullets flying!
please.
How tough are you? How tough are you? How do you sleep at night?
Guys,
There is no honor in this! There is no honor in this! None! None! There is no honor in this! You can laugh all you want, but it takes a cow to hurt an unarmed civilian! There is no honor in that! There is no honor in that!
I live in Jersey and just killed a girl.
There is no honor in this! Just walk away! Keep walking away!
Go to one side.
Keep walking back!
Listen, if you're, let me make this real clear to you, Sergeant. You're in the uniform of our country. If you ask me a political question, I'm gonna take you outside. Listen to me, and we're gonna have a captain. Listen to me, hey, you want me to come down there? Hold on a second, Sergeant. Let me come down here. Let me come down here and talk to you real quick offline. But I want to let you know, if you say something political, if you use my uniform or our uniform of our country to say something political, for or against, I will come down and talk to you.
Right here. I care about the Iraqi people. I fought beside them, and we shared the same blood, tears, and sweat. Iraqi casualties have gone down. I will give you my money, all the money that I have in my pocket, if you can show me that Iraqi casualties since the surge began have not gone down. Please.
Hold on. Okay.
I have a computer, there's computers all around here. Search.
Okay.
I will give you all the money in my pocket.
It's not about the number. Stand down. I just want to thank, but before we give a real Army issue, I believe that a great unit in the military has discipline. That we've got good units and bad units. For the sake of the Army, I want to thank everybody who's come here. I want to thank the coach panel. I want to thank our panelists. For the sergeant, I will see you outside. I want the name of your commander and your first sergeant. You will never ever use my uniform again in the name of political purposes. Thank you, guys.
Now, obviously you're not in uniform, but you are going by Allison from the U.S. Army. Not exactly anonymous. Comments on Thinker Soldiers. It's on a different video, but it applies to this as well. We're not up to the point where our men and women in uniform are to disregard all manner and custom and tradition leading to dissent in our ranks. Being a military man, you should understand better than most the importance of keeping order and discipline. You wouldn't show up to formation with a beard, would you? And why not? It's just a beard. It's not done. It's harmful. It brings to mind, when speaking in political positions in uniform, Colonel Gaddafi or Castro running around in uniform and making political positions. Again, even if said positions may be right. You can do whatever you want. We defend democracy. We don't practice it. Quote from Gonna Grab It Fallujah, Iraq 05. It's not just a beard. It's not just a uniform. And you know that. While the United States respects the uniform, there is something off-putting about having service members confuse their roles of citizens and protectors. The public needs to understand that there is order. They need to understand that someone will guard that wall and charge that hill, no questions asked. You erode that confidence when you overtly or even give an inclination that you are above the uniform you wear. While on duty, you will be against the UCMJ, but while out, the reasons why it's not sanctioned originally by the UCMJ still apply. When you give credence to disorder in our military, you are undermining it both in the ranks and in the public's eyes. Whether you mean to or not, when you wear that uniform, you will do no wrong or perceived wrong, and you will keep the highest code of conduct. If you are not allowed to do something, say, spout political positions in uniform, you will swallow your pride and concerns. It's not that dire yet. Don't raid the armory just yet. We do not have a military government in the United States. Up till recently, we could tell you who you could fuck. We can still tell you what to wear, how to walk, when to run, and when to push. The military is not a democratic institution, nor should it be used as a pulpit to espouse democratic ideas. One day, someone with bad ideas will wear that very same uniform and carry that very same legitimacy and sell those bad ideas just as well. To avoid that, we don't have ideas as far as the public knows. No one is asking you to be a Nazi and blindly follow illegal orders. All that is asked is that you keep the standards and reputation of your branch at the highest level and above reproach. Let there not even be a shadow of a doubt as to your patriotism, virtue, and valor. Do not step or wade into the waters of politics, for it is seen as treacherous by some of the fat MTV-watching civilians we serve and love. There will always be someone who disagrees with you and their views of you, no matter how wrong, matter. You serve them. They don't deserve it, but most of the time, but you do. Again, the position, while I have issues with it, are beyond the point. Trust me, there are many who serve who wish to speak publicly behind the uniform as a member or a retired member of the armed services in public. But they don't. They understand the principle I'm trying to get across to you. If they do speak, they do so in civilian attire and never ever bring up their service. Remember, there's only 1% of the population that is serving. Civilians will respect your uniform, but be embarrassed that they didn't step on those footprints, and for the most part be respectful of your service to challenge you. You are limiting your own debate. You cannot, although that's not your intent, use your uniform as a club to silence opinion. War in Iraq? I was there, so here's my opinion and fuck you, is what it looks like, and that's not helpful. Now, I'm not saying you're coming out in uniform with a political position, but as those two videos showed, some people have, and both of those people are wrong. If you will notice, though, the one backing the surge happened to be in his alphas and in complete military code and military dress. The other one looked like he was going fishing with his uniform unkept, his face unshaven, his uniform all a Twitter and whatnot. But that is besides the point, and that is the reason for the anonymity of this channel. But moving right along to the actual position, since I've been brought out of the shadows by the Ron Paul campaign actively recruiting members of the armed services, I have been forced to speak, still in anonymity, unlike others. Well, there's a lot here in your article, but let's go through some of the bits and pieces that caught my eye. One of them was undeclared wars that should have ended long ago, and in the case of the Iraq War, never undertaken in the first place. I assume you mean the undeclared war in Afghanistan. Again, if you told the American public in 2001 on 9/13 that it was time to pull out of Afghanistan, they would call you crazy. There's something wrong with the American populace. They don't understand victory. It was stolen from them in Vietnam. And they've been suffering from the Vietnam-era loser bug ever since. They don't conceive victory. They ask questions like, what is victory? What is endless war? It is constant. It is never-ending. They never, ever ask the enemy when the war will be over. It is always the onus on the United States when the war will be over. It is always put forth on the United States, how can we continue to meddle in Middle Eastern affairs and not expect them to retaliate? It is never asked of the Islamic extremists when they will stop killing for fear of wrath of the United States. It's never asked of them! Continuing on, undeclared wars. I assume this means that when Congress gives authority to the President of the United States to act, it's not good enough for Allison from the U.S. Army. No, there needs to be language of declared war. Show me where it says that you need the language of declared war. Congress has the authority to give President that power. They did. Show me where you need the language that says you must, quote, declare war. What is going on in Afghanistan and Iraq if not war? Less Iraq now. You can play semantic games all you want. Congress gave the president authority. Again, I find it amazing that we're referring now to Afghanistan as the wrong war. Because the pacifist is a pacifist is a pacifist. They lied about Iraq and they'll lie about it. They don't care whether it's Iraq or Afghanistan. We took the ball off Afghanistan and we went to Iraq. Nonsense! You had no interest in either. Furthermore, we have this, your other line in your article, pro-war chicken hawk cowards spewing their propaganda about a strong military presence in the Middle East, dying for Israel, and threatening preemptive attack on Iran. I view it as a direct threat to the welfare of my men. Dying for Israel. Interesting concept. Well, somebody's listening to their Michael Scheuer, aren't they? I'll say this. Ladies and gentlemen, you civilians who support the mission, who support the war efforts, and who know what it takes for the self-defense of this nation. Those of you who read and who understand the world as it is, not how it ought to be, I will take you into the fighting hall any day over a chicken, over those civilians who not only did not serve, but who do not back the war and the mission. I will take you over a hawk chicken like Ron Paul and Allison any day of the week. And you should accept my gratitude from a hawk, someone who has served and someone who backs the mission, for your true support of who and what we are and what we stand for as a moral breed. As all those people who signed up between 2001 and 2011 who are now told fought for a wrong war. We enlisted. We knew exactly where we were going, and we're not all idiots and active tools of some small-minded group of individuals who lead our country astray. Further on, our job is not to secure corporate profits for oil companies. Are we doing this again? It's a war for oil! Man! It's a military-industrial complex! Man! Occupy! Man! I know who said it. I know who said it. Thank you. Let's take a look at who the real war for oil is, shall we? After the first Gulf War, there was a treaty between the world and Saddam. He was not allowed to sell oil to the world unless he used his profits to feed his people. The Russians, the Germans, and the French illegally bought oil from Saddam Hussein, and he used those profits to build his arsenal. Some could argue chemical, some could argue WMD, but he definitely bought weapons. That's true blood for oil. Point your finger at the rest of the world, not at us. Allison from the U.S. Army. Poll has more support among active duty military personnel and veterans than all the other candidates combined. By far, it's not even close. Minus me, and minus anyone who I talk to. With the exception, and he misspells this, or the person who posted this misspelled this, it's W-I-T-A, it doesn't matter. With the exception of Perry, Ron Paul is the only candidate who actually served in this country by serving in the armed forces. He was an Air Force flight surgeon during the Vietnam War. So I guess now, in order to be president of the United States, you have to have served in war. Because, after all, anybody who's ever served in a war, i.e. Adam Kokesh, is a brilliant man and should be trusted above all things. As a matter of fact, let's take a look at some of the other members who served and their brilliant positions and ideas.
I just think that if we are attacked, we have the right to want our military to respond. So that's not some warmonger saying, fuck the boys, send them over. That's what I wanted to address.
Jesse just sits and looks at Jimmy.
Why?
Awkwardly.
That was a fair point I just made. You were wrong when you said that.
I don't know, I didn't listen.
You just talk over everybody. Holy, you're a big guy and you talk
I
loud.
talked over you.
Yes,
You're just now yelling at me because I'm not talking.
I'm not yelling at you. I'm just yelling about your point. You accused us of something, so it's not
No, I didn't accuse him.
Sure you did. You guys are just full of shit. You're warmongers. It's like that's not the truth.
Yeah.
Yes.
I stand corrected.
Thank you.
You're a great American.